Okay, today we're going to prepare a slide with some E. coli cells, and we're going to have a wee look at them once we've stained them under the microscope. The first thing we've got to do is transfer some sterile water onto our slide. So we need to use a Bunsen burner, put it onto the blue flame, and then holding the loop like a pen, we put the loop end into the blue cone, which is one of the cooler parts of the flame, pull it up through the top, and as it pulls up through the top, the loop starts to burn bright red, and that's it starting to sterilise. So we can take that out of there. And as long as we don't put it down anywhere, it should stay sterilised. What we're going to add to our slide first of all is some sterile water. So we've got some bijous pre-sterilised. Loosen the cap, and then if you hold the cap with the pinky of your left hand, we can pass the threads of the bijou through the blue flame and sterilise that. Putting the loop into the sterile water, we should be able to withdraw a loop full of sterilised water. We can re-sterilise the bijou before closing the cap. The loop full of sterilised water can then be added to our slide, ready to receive the E. coli from the culture. Before we do that, we have to re-sterilise the loop. So again, we put it into the blue cone, pull it out through the top, and allow it to sterilise. The E. coli culture is on an agar plate. So working quickly, we remove the culture with the agar and the E. coli on it. Take a small sample, and then we're going to spread that sample in the water that's on the slide, moving it about to try and make sure that we've got a nice thin film of bacterial cells stuck to the slide. Once that's been spread out, we need to re-sterilise our loop before we can put it down. And once we've sterilised it, we can just put that on the heat mat. Those cells are now on the slide. What we need to do is try and heat fix them to the slide. So we're going to do that by holding them upside down and passing them through the flame. So we turn the slide upside down, holding it with some forceps to make sure that we don't hurt ourselves. We put the flame back onto a blue flame and just quickly pass it through a couple of times. And that's those cells now heat fixed to the slide. The next thing we have to do, so we can visualise them at their best under the microscope, is try and stain them up. So for E. coli cells, we've got some methylene blue stain, and what we have to do is put a few drops of methylene blue stain onto the culture, and then we have to allow that to soak in for a couple of minutes before we then wash it off with some water. After staining the slide for 2 minutes, we need to wash off the excess stain. To do that, we just use some distilled water and run plenty of distilled water over the slide to get rid of the excess. Once we've done that, we need to pat it dry, and to do that we just use some plain tissue paper, which allows us to get rid of the excess water and the excess stain. And we want to make sure we pat it dry gently enough that we don't get rid of our freshly stained E. coli cells. Having prepared the slides and stained them up, what we've now got is a kind of overview at ×400 magnification of some of the E. coli cells that we have. Having spread them out using the loop, we've now got a nice flat kind of layer of the cells, and we can start to pick out individual cells within the slide that we've now prepared.